After the shambles of the FA Cup, it's now time to switch back to Ipswich Town in the league. We'll talk about it next. That's right, folks, back once again with another match preview, this time looking forward to Blackburn Rovers up against Ipswich Town at Ewood Park. Now we'll get to that in just 1 second. If you're new to the channel, smash your subscribe button to keep you bang up to date with all things Blackburn Rovers related, championship related, world football related. We're going to all hear under one roof. Now let's take a look at the match in a bit more detail. It does take place at Ewood Park, and it's all changed since we last took on Ipswich way back when at the start of the season. New manager and all that kind of good stuff. The match will take place on the 19th of January, and the manager now is ex-Rovers gaffer Paul Lambert. That's right, he is now in charge. But last season must seem a whole flipping decade away for Ipswich fans. They finished 12th in the division. They are now obviously struggling at the bottom end of the table. The key man for me is new signing and also ex-Rover Alan Judge. That's right. I think he signed from Brentford. Yet to play a game, so this could be his debut. In fact, he's been very busy on the old transfer thing. Meanwhile, the last time that these two sides met at Ewood Park ended up being a 0-0 draw back on the 15th of October 2016, and was also in the Championship. Now, over the years, the two sides have played 54 times in all competitions, Rovers winning 16 of them. We've drawn 18, and we've lost 20 between us. Now, obviously, we come into this fresh off the back of that a lengthy game against Newcastle. It took not only 120 minutes on the day, plus another 90 at their place. A long, long time to get over the line and ultimately crash out of the FA Cup. But anyway, I'm going to go with this side. Hopefully, Raya between the sticks, Bell, Mulgrew, Lenihan and Nyembe. Hopefully, we'll get Mulgrew back because we definitely lacked his creativity from set pieces. Travis and Smallwood in midfield, Dak, Armstrong, Reed and Graham up top. It's mostly the same side, or mostly the same personnel. Bar Mulgrew coming in and Dak starting as well, and then, you know, getting everybody back to where they belong. A quick look at the statistics for Rovers. This is, I think, league only stats. Dak currently tops the pops with 13 goals. Graham has 9 goals. Mulgrew 8. Armstrong has 6. As for the discipline, Bennett has 6 yellows. Evans has 6. Smallwood has 6. Lennon has 6. As for the red card situation, 2 players have a red card to the name. Smallwood and, of course, Williams. Over the last 5 results, this is their form book going into this. Obviously, we lost it yesterday. Rovers up against Newcastle, ended up 4-2 after extra time. Maybe will those extra 30 minutes of football cause some issues for Rovers fitness-wise this weekend? We'll have to wait and see. Before that, we took on Millwall down in the Den. 2-0 win for Rovers to continue our unbeaten or 100% success rate in the league since 2019. Newcastle, obviously, before that, we took on Newcastle in the original game, 1-1 at St James's Park, all the way back on the 1st of Jan. We also took on West Brom. I was there, folks. 2-1 winners for Rovers, and all the way back, it's still on there. We're going to get rid of it soon. The Sheffield United loss, the collapse, 3-0 at Bramall Lane on the 29th of December. Now, the next 5 fixtures for Rovers look like this. Obviously, we're talking about it now. Taking on Ipswich on the 19th of Jan. Then we take on in-form red-hot Hull City, also at Ewood Park. Hopefully, we can get back-to-back wins at Ewood. That would be fantastic. After that, we go down to Griffin Park, question mark, I think that's where they play. And then we'll take on Brentford on the 2nd of Feb. Then we take on Bristol City and Casey Palmer on the 9th of Feb down at Ewood Park. Then we'll wrap it up against Reading, 30th of Feb at the Majewski. Anyway, let's take a look at our opponents. Well, this is a makeshift side for Ipswich. It could be a completely different, because obviously they've got a lot of players brought in by Paul Hurst at the start of the season, and now Lambert's bringing in his own players. A lot of loanees on the books, as you tell from some of the symbols on here. But anyway, Gherkin between sticks, Elder at left back, Nasalia at centre back, Chambers and Pennington. As for the centre midfielders, Chabola, Skuse, and the 3. It's very similar formation. In fact, it's identical formation. Edwards, Sears, Keane and Quainer up top. We'll have to look. Maybe I don't put Judge in there. I'm not sure where he might be in place of Edwards, to be honest with you. I don't know. He might only be good enough for the bench, but either way, it could be he could come back to haunt us at Ewood. Anyway, top goal scorers for Ipswich is Sears with 5 goals. Edwards has 4. Jackson has 4. Chabola has 2. As for the discipline, Chambers has 6. Chabola has 5, Spence has 4, and Scoots has 4 yellows. And as for the Reds, Nasala, Pennington and Adjun all have 1 red card to the name. Now the form book for Ipswich. is not great, but they do come into this match on the back of a win against Rotherham, and that was last time out, 12th of January, 1-0 win at Portman Road. Before that, they lost to Accrington Stanley. Who were they? In the FA Cup on the 5th of January. Before that, they lost to Millwall, 3-2 at Portman Road, 1st of January. That was a big game down the bottom end of the table. Middlesbrough beat them on the 29th of December as well, and then all the way back, 26th of December, on Boxing Day, QPR were victorious, 3-0 at Loftus Road. The next 5 fixtures for Ipswich look like this. It's back-to-back away games for Ipswich. Obviously, they're taking on Rovers this weekend. Then they take on Aston Villa at Villa Park on the 26th of Jan. Then they take on Sheffield Wednesday, 2nd of February at Portman Road. Ipswich then have the old East Anglia derby on the 10th of Feb at Carrow Road. And then they'll take on Derby on the 13th of Feb. What else is going on this weekend in the Championship? We'll take a look at it. Stoke with their new manager. Hopefully they can get their first win, because they just crashed out of the FA Cup as well to Shrewsbury, 3-2. They take on Leeds, who are high flyers at the moment. Nottingham Forest with their new manager, Martin O'Neill, take on Bristol City and Casey Palmer. Swansea City take on Sheffield United. Bolton take on West Brom. Our next opponents after Ipswich are Hull, and they take on Aston Villa. That's a bit fruity. Quick look at the table. It looks like this. Leeds are currently flying high. Number 1, 4 points clear of Sheffield United in 2nd. Carrow. Norwich City are in 3rd, West Brom 4th, Middlesbrough 5th, and Derby occupy the 6th playoff spot. As for the bottom 3, Ipswich are bottom of the table, but a win for them against Rovers could close the gap to Bolton to just 1 point. Bolton are in 23rd, Reading are in 22nd. Rovers are smack dab in the middle in 14th, and a win for us could see us jump as high as 8th. Barmy Army. That's right. Save a little bit what I would say about the match. Now, what you really want to hear is what the opposition fans have got to say. I'm joined once again by Benjamin Bloom. Is he co-host of the Blue Monday podcast, or would you say you're the actual host?
You call me anything you like, Dirk, and wouldn't it be lovely from an Ipswich point of view to go right back to August and start all over again when we last checked?
Gosh, you guys have had it the hard way. First with a young manager coming in, Paul Hurst, and I was actually excited for you guys. I was excited more for you then than I am now with Lambert in charge, but he's starting to get the points on the board. But anyway, so give me a quick recap of the dramatic events. Obviously losing one manager and now bringing in Paul Lambert, ex-Rovers manager Paul Lambert.
An absolute disaster. Obviously, so the first game against Rovers was literally day one of the season. We were so optimistic. You said you thought it was good. We all thought, oh, great, we've gone for a young manager. A change from old McCarthy, and just an absolute disaster. The recruitment was all too soon and too much at once. Lots of lower division players came in, and some problems, we think, with some man management in the background. Results looked like they might come, and then he just completely lost the plot. Sacked after 14 games, and then in comes ex Blackburn manager, ex Norwich manager, Paul Lambert. He's tried to steady it. We are still 7 points adrift with an inferior goal difference, but it's been quite the transfer window. I know I just said too many players in at once, but it's happened all over again. 6 players in this transfer window, but this time lots more Championship experience and even some Premier League experience. So it's the hope that kills you, but we're just still clinging on, Dirk.
Yep. I think, well, obviously Paul Lambert, he's like 50-50 with Rovers fans. He did okay, but it kind of ran away too soon. I think he was given false promises and all that kind of stuff. But I think there's enough in the tank for Ipswich. Again, obviously the win last week against Rotherham, vital. And again, whenever you play those 6-pointer games, they're the ones that you got to start getting the results in. But anyway, so we're going to do right here, right now. We're going to kind of do like a mid-season overview. I'm going to chuck some categories at you, and then just let the viewers know what your opinion is. So first and foremost, for the season, who's been your best player for Ipswich, in your opinion?
God. You're pushing it there. All of our star performers last year were sold, except the goalie, who's just fallen off a cliff. Such a difficult one to answer. Matt Pennington has come in on loan from Everton and has just not been terrible, like a lot of the players have. Freddie Sears went on a little goal scoring spurt, but then in recent games he's made some poor choices in front of Matt Pennington.
Okay, all right. Okay, well,
We're struggling.
Now, well, how about this one? This one might be a more up your alley. Who's been the worst? Who's been their standout worst player for Ipswich this year?
Oh, goodness me. You could actually do different categories of bad player. You could do these lower division players who've just struggled so badly. I hate to say it, but Bartosz Białkowski, 3 times Player of the Year in goal, new contract, and dropped by 2 separate managers. Something's gone wrong with his confidence. And in terms of, I love the guy, but in terms of the drop off from being three years running Player of the Year, not just good for 1 year, Dirk. It pains me to say, but and you won't see him on Saturday because he's relegated to the bench, I'm afraid.
Goodness. Okay, now how about on the flip side, maybe on the horizon, anyone who's the most promising coming through the ranks, maybe?
Yeah, so for years we thought it was going to be Andre Dazelle, but it's actually Jack Lancaster, who's a young winger. So he's a left-footed winger, plays off the right. Got a bit of a swagger moving around the pitch. Made a couple of sub appearances and scored his first goal in when everything was going well against Millwall before we collapsed in the second half. And Paul Lambert's been at pains to say, look, can't put too much pressure on these young guys, that they shouldn't be the ones. But he's been one of the better players, and we hope that there's a nice secure contract so we can at least cash in if he does have to go.
All right. Well, you kind of touched on it earlier. 2 managers, 2 different transfer windows. Who's been the best signing by both managers? Like who's out of both managers? Who's been the tip of the iceberg for transfer business?
Well, it's very hard to judge. So let's go with the new signings on the basis that the first batch of signings has put us bottom of the league going into the second transfer window. James Collins, he's long in the tooth, he's old, he's big, he's slow, but boy, can he head and kick balls away, judging by the first game. He could be the experienced guy that actually helps out some of our experienced players, let alone the inexperienced players. So he could be the one. The really interesting one is Alan Judge, who had a horrible injury a couple of years ago against Ipswich. He's ex-Rovers as well, isn't he?
He is ex-Rovers.
Yeah. And he's just signed from Brentford, and we think he may well be on the bench on Saturday. So that's the one we're excited about, because that's a guy 2 years ago that was putting serious numbers on the board. If he can get anywhere near he was before the injury, really good signing.
He could score a free kick or two, and I think he actually had 2 spells with. I think he had 2 spells. I might have got that wrong, but I think he had 2 spells. Once as a youth, then he was let go, and then he was brought back. I think I might be mixed up with someone else, and then again it didn't really work out the second time around. But every time we played up against him, he's stood out. And I think I've actually got him down as my danger man this weekend for Ipswich if he gets a nod. Okay, what about the worst signing of the transfers? Who's been an absolute? We've got one in Ben Brereton. Well, I wouldn't say worst. It's just not clicked for him yet. But who's been the shocker?
It's tricky. We signed Caden Jackson from Accrington for a lot of money for us. I know Brereton was like 7 million, wasn't he?
Yes,
so
yes.
Not anywhere near that. 1.8 million, which is a big transfer for Marcus Evans. And it's not that he's been bad, but he's come into a bad team and looked like he just needed to be pushed in slowly and struggled a little bit. John Nolan was a Paul Hurst project. He had him at Shrewsbury. We thought, oh, here comes our playmaker, and just hasn't convinced yet. It would be one of the. I feel bad saying it because they've both made the step up into a pretty bad team. So one of those two, I would say, possibly Nolan, on the basis that Jackson has actually scored 4 goals.
Okay, what about who's your favourite player right now? You said your best player, but who's the one you like looking forward to seeing week in, week out?
Alan Judge, probably. Well, James Collins made a massive impression in the first game, like immediately became a crowd favourite. There's still some of the stalwarts there. Luke Chambers, the captain, is still there, but we wonder how his powers are waning possibly. Cole Skews is still there. Lancaster, I mentioned. I hate to say it, it's the hope that kills you. So Judge is the one I'm excited about. Can he be a creative, like you say, set play guy, number 10, possibly create and score goals? So looking at that one.
All right. Okay. Now, we have one in the middle, Tough Nut. We have Smallwood, always goes in with a crunching tackle. Who's the guy we should be should keep an eye out for, watching them possibly breaking our legs?
Oh, crikey. That's the player we probably lacked. Skews does the same job as Smallwood, but he's not a hard man. He'll make the interceptions fairly, let's just say. I suppose it's going to be Collins at the back. Poor Sean Raggett got the bad end of, we think, an elbow, and this is one of those ones, Dirk. I was right in the stand behind the physio, and footballers are fit guys, but when they try to push his tooth back in,
oh my goodness,
you see a cricket player and they get the ball on their finger, and it wasn't nice to watch. So Collins at the back, whether he can keep pace with Graham and Dak, I don't know. So he might need some muscle on them.
No, but I think that's a good pickup, though. I think we also could do with a revamp in our defence, and we've been crying out for another solid centre back, and I think you guys might have got a good one there. Okay, what about who's your most overrated? Who gets a lot of plaudits when they really shouldn't do that sort of stuff?
Skews splits the Ipswich fans because he does the invisible work, the interceptions and the talking that doesn't even actually communicate to using the ball, organising and pushing people around. So some people say he's overrated, some people say he's underrated. People wonder about Sears. Is he really a championship striker? And then he'll have a little spurt, and then he'll go mumps. Perhaps we go back to those signings. Are Nolan or Jackson worth the money? Look, honestly, there's not a lot of hype about not a lot of our players at the moment because we're bottom of the league, so it's a tricky one to answer. But those players I've mentioned are the ones that may be a little bit divisive.
Well, okay, what about in the grand scheme of things? Who has been your overall best player for Ipswich in all of time? The whole of time?
In all of time, my favourite since I've been watching was Marcus Stewart when we
goal scoring machine.
He was, but he was more than that. He was a clever player. He didn't have much pace or much height, but because of his timing, he was great in the air. Scored headers, scored dribbles, every type of goal. And he would love to, in a one-on-one, to go round the goalkeeper. You don't see that very much anymore with the offsides the way they are. People getting in behind the goal. So Marcus Stewart came to us, took us into the Premier League, and then I think 21 goals in that season, top scorer in English player there. Imagine that. Hey?
Yeah.
Ipswich having the top scoring English player in the Premier League.
That's crazy. I do remember him scoring for consecutive seasons, or at least a few. What about the Championship League as a whole? If not just, I'm not focusing on Rovers, but the whole of the Championship. Is there one player currently you would love to have, you could steal from any team in the Championship? Who would you steal?
Oh, there's several. Pablo Hernandez I saw play for Leeds Villa a couple of weeks ago. I was at the game, and it went beyond good and just became funny, where he would receive the ball, control it in some stupid way, spread the play, and Villa couldn't get near him. Pains me to say it, Pookie for Norwich has been absolutely brilliant. Scored the winner at Ewood, didn't he? Norwood for Sheffield United has been really, really good. Deep line playmaker there. And a lot of the West Brom players. You stick Dwight Gale, even in Rovers or Ipswich. Well, you stick Dwight Gale in Rovers, 25 goals. Stick him in Ipswich, he'd probably still get 15 goals. So there's some good players there. And at the moment, Jared Bowen as well.
Yeah, he's on fire. He's on fire.
Never scores one goal. It's always two every game. So any of those. But Hernandez, I would say, is the best. Yeah.
One of the next categories, I don't even know if I should bother with, is team you hate and why.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because you would say, how can you hate Norwich this season when they've been 4-3, 4-4, 3-3 last-minute winners, but we still managed to find a way. Norwich.
I was going to say, there's no point in me asking you that one. Okay, and then ultimately now, this one. Where do you think you finish this season in the league?
So, if we get the bounce from these signings... look, you say to any Ipswich fan, if you're within 2 points of 21st place on the last day of the season, and we do play Leeds at home on the last day of the season, I think they would all take it now. We're only playing for 24th up to 20th tops, unless we do a hull and go on a ridiculous run. But is that going to happen? No, probably not. So we're definitely going to finish between 24th and 20th. 21st would be absolutely amazing. We just need to see if these players don't bed in, then we're going to be 24th or 23rd, depending on whether Bolton get deducted points and finish below us on default. So bit of a fudge of an answer, but if you give me one match of 21st by game 46, hopefully Leeds are already up. They're just here for a party. We can all have a laugh and they can give us 3 points and we can survive on the last day. I would take that right now.
Well, I do hope you guys cling on. I think you definitely, you don't deserve to be in the third tier. There are definitely worse, like Bolton. They deserve to go down. I think they're just a shambles. And I wouldn't mind seeing Wigan go back down as well. I'm not very fond of Wigan. Even though
local trips for Rovers fans disappearing if those two.
Well, to be honest, I'm hoping Burnley come back down, and then that'll make up for any shortfalls of Bolton and Wigan. But anyway, Ben, thanks again. That's pretty much. Score prediction. What's the score going to be this weekend?
God, a point would be great, but the truth is that Ipswich actually have to win some games. They have to, and Rovers are in the bottom half. I know they're a good team; they're having a good season, but they've got to get some points from somewhere. And there's only so many home games against teams lower in the table that you can play. If Ipswich win all them, that's not going to be enough. They need to win some away games. So although I'm sitting here saying, "Oh look, a draw would be great," can you shut out Dak and Graham? Not many teams shut out both of them, one or other. They punish the lower teams as well, don't they? So point would be amazing. I'd take 0-0 right now.
You never know, and with Paul Lambert coming back, you never know what kind of psychological edge that'll have on some of the Rovers fans anyway. But Ben, once again, thank you for giving some of your time this evening. And good luck for the rest of the season. Hopefully we'll catch up again next season back in the Championship, if that's all right with you.
You got it.
All right. Well, until then, I'll let you get out of here. Now, over the years, a number of players have played for both Blackburn Rovers and Ipswich Town. Here are 3 of them. Obviously, earlier, if you caught the very first match preview of the season, we did take on Ipswich. And we also did 3 other guys prior. So these are some more names and faces. How about this guy, Keith Andrews? That's right, a player ahead of his time. That's right. He would be more suited to Mowbray's action now. The formation, the smallwood kind of role. The guy who does a lot of the donkey work. I think during his time we were not that sort of team, and he just didn't fit in the right mould. But he also played for Ipswich Town. How about this guy, though? Leon Best. Leon Worst, should I say. Leon Worst. That's what I'm going to name him from now on. Here he is with a happy smiley face with the red and white shirt of Rovers. And he's also knocking the blue and whatever shirt for Ipswich Town. And then wrapping it up, another guy who's another... Yeah, these 3 weren't the greatest players, but it's Liam Feeney. That's right, did on the blue and white halves. That's just a little bit of a build-up to this game. What does Cast Cat think will happen this weekend? Let's take a little look at it. Here she comes. That's pretty much all I've got for you today, folks. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a good old thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, smash your subscribe. It'll keep you bang up to date with all things Blackburn Rovers related, Championship related, World Football related. We're going to all here under one roof. Also, check out the old description. Links to my other social media platforms are in there. Twitter, Facebook, and the old WordPress, of course. So, yes, obviously we're going to go into this on the back of that defeat against Newcastle, but we need to bounce back. Obviously, you know, we've started 2019 league form in pretty good shape, winning both games so far. Can we make it 3 out of 3 against Ipswich? It would be fantastic, because then we take on a very difficult Hull City side after this one. So, and they were struggling early doors, and now they are looking like playoff contenders themselves. But yeah, obviously we're going to be duking it out with former Rovers manager Paul Lambert as well. So that'll be, because he kind of left. He left us in, I don't know, in a bit of a limbo, he kind of half-assed his time at Rovers, you know. And no disrespect to him. I know there might be stuff behind the scenes that we just don't know about, but I was expecting good things for him when he was around, but ultimately it never worked out. And here we are now. You know, some things happen for a reason. He pissed off. Fair cry. See you later. And now we got Mowbray, who is yeah. Some people are starting to get bored of Mowbray a little bit, but not me. Not me. I think he's doing a fantastic job. We've got to just remember where we are now. We're 14th for the championship. We're 6 points off a 6th spot at the table. Come on, boys. Let's be a little bit realistic here. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thumbs up, subscribe, new, blah, blah, blah. Yo. Thanks again for watching. Please like, share, and most importantly, hit the subscribe button to keep you bang up to date with all things Blackburn Rovers related, championship related, football related. We've got it all covered right under one roof. And while I still have you, please be sure to check out some of the old videos scattered along here. I hope.